June Kim sat on his small balcony, watching the sunset over the sprawling city. At 65, his hands were rough and marked with the small scars of a lifetime fixing spacecraft engines. Now they held only a cup of tea and the official letter that had arrived that morning. "Uncle Sung is dead," he muttered to himself, still surprised. He hadn't seen his uncle in almost 30 years. They hadn't fought or anything like that. Life had simply pulled them in different directions. Uncle Sung had left Earth to seek fortune in the outer colonies while June had stayed, building a quiet life as a mechanic for Earth's orbital fleet. The letter wasn't just news of death. It was about an inheritance. June had to read it 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. "He left me a tavern." June shook his head in disbelief. "A tavern on some space station I've never even heard of." Outpost Station NK 427 was located on the edge of the Milky Way trading route. June had to look it up on his old datapad. It was a small station, not fancy like the big hubs closer to Earth. It was the kind of place where traders stopped to rest and refuel before heading deeper into space. 2 days later, June stood in his empty apartment. He had sold almost everything. At his age, starting over seemed crazy, but what did he have to lose? His wife had died 5 years ago. His son lived off-world with his own family and rarely called. His job was done. Retired with a small pension that barely covered his living costs. One last adventure, he told himself as he locked the door for the final time. The journey to NK 427 took 11 days on 3 different ships. Each one was smaller and rougher than the last. On the final leg, Jun sat next to a blue-skinned alien with 4 arms who kept offering him something that looked like dried fish, but smelled like gasoline. When he finally arrived at NK 427, Jun was tired and sore. The station was old, at least 60 years by his estimate. He could tell from the design of the docking clamps and the wear patterns on the metal hallways. A mechanic noticed these things. A station official met him at the arrival area. She was a short woman with graying hair tied back in a neat bun. "Mr. Kim, I'm Han Suk, station administrator. Welcome to NK 427. I handled your uncle's affairs after his passing." She handed him a small metal key card. "This will get you into the tavern and the living quarters above it. Your uncle's personal items are still there." "Thank you," Jun said, taking the card. "Can you tell me where to find this place?" Han Suk smiled. "Level 3, Section D. It's called the Rusted Wrench. Bit of a rundown place, if I'm being honest. Your uncle wasn't much for repairs in his later years." An hour later, Jun stood in front of a dirty metal door with a faded sign hanging above it. The sign showed a wrench with rust spots, spinning slowly as the holographic display flickered. He swiped the key card, and the door slid open with a grinding noise that made him wince. Inside was dark until motion sensors detected him and lights flickered on. Jun looked around in silence. There was a long bar counter, about 20 tables, and some booths along the walls. Everything was covered in dust. Behind the bar, rows of bottles contained liquids of every color. Some glowed faintly. The air smelled stale. A ventilation unit buzzed loudly, then sputtered, blowing out a puff of dust before going silent. "This place is a mess," Jum said to the empty room. He walked behind the bar and found the main control panel. It was an older model, but familiar enough. He pressed a few buttons, and more lights came on. The ventilation tried to start again, but failed. Jun sighed and reached for his tool bag, the one thing he hadn't sold. He always carried basic tools with him. It was a habit from 50 years of fixing things. "Might as well start somewhere," he muttered, opening the ventilation panel. By nightfall, the air was flowing properly, and Jun had found the living quarters upstairs. It was a small apartment, much like the one he'd left on Earth, but filled with his uncle's things. On the bedside table was a framed photo of his uncle standing proudly in front of the tavern when it was new. Jun sat on the bed, tired but thinking. He had no experience running a tavern. He knew engines and machines, not drinks and customers, but he knew how to fix things, and this place needed a lot of fixing. One step at a time, he told himself as he lay down to sleep. Tomorrow, we start repairs. For 2 weeks, June worked from morning until night fixing the tavern. He repaired the broken chairs and tables. He cleaned the sticky floors and dusty shelves. He fixed the drinks dispenser that leaked blue liquid and the kitchen unit that wouldn't heat food properly. It was hard work, but Jun was used to hard work. He enjoyed having a purpose again. The sound of his tools against metal felt right. The tavern began to look better. Not new, but clean and working. Time to open, Jun said to himself on the morning of the 15th day. He checked his supplies. He had learned about the common drinks from a database his uncle had kept. Most of the food was simple, things that could be heated quickly and served to hungry travelers. June turned on the sign outside and unlocked the door. Then he waited. For 3 hours, nobody came. June sat behind the bar, wondering if he had made a mistake. Maybe nobody wanted to come to an old tavern run by a human who didn't know what he was doing. Then the door slid open. A tall figure stood in the doorway. At first, Jun thought it was a human. But as the person stepped inside, Jun noticed the difference. The visitor had pale skin that seemed to shimmer in places. Around their neck were small scales that caught the light and sparkled like tiny jewels. Their eyes were dark and deep, like looking into space itself. "Are you open?" the visitor asked. Their voice was smooth and pleasant. "Yes," Jun said, standing straighter. "Welcome to the Rusted Wrench. I'm Jun, the new owner." The visitor smiled. "I am Ta. I knew the previous owner. Your uncle, was he not?" Jun nodded. "You knew Uncle Sung. We had business together occasionally." Ta walked to the bar and sat down gracefully. "I am pleased to see this establishment open again." Something about Ta made Jun nervous. Not in a bad way, but like when he used to work on expensive ships that belonged to important people. Ta looked around the tavern with careful eyes, noticing all the repairs. "You've improved the place," Ta said. "The air smells better. The lights work properly." "I'm a mechanic," Jun explained. "Fixing things is what I do." Ta smiled again. "A useful skill. Humans are good at fixing things, aren't they? Good at making things work when they shouldn't." The way Ta said humans made Jun realize this visitor wasn't just another alien species he hadn't seen before. There was something more unusual about Ta. "What can I get you to drink?" Jun asked, trying to be a proper tavern owner. "Your strongest," Ta said. "Whatever burns the most." Jun found a bottle with bright red liquid that his uncle's notes described as strong enough to melt ship parts, only for species with enhanced digestive systems. He poured a small glass and set it in front of Ta. Ta sniffed the drink, then downed it in one swallow. Not a wince, not a cough. Nothing. "Another," Ta said, placing the glass down. As Jun poured the second drink, Ta asked, "Tell me, human, what makes your kind survive when you are so breakable?" The question surprised Jun. "What do you mean?" "You have no armor, no natural weapons, no special abilities. Yet humans spread throughout the stars like no other species. You adapt to places that should kill you. You fix things others would abandon." Ta's eyes seemed to glow slightly. "What is your secret?" Before Jun could answer, the door opened again. A group of miners came in, loud and hungry after their shift. Jun had to serve them. And by the time he looked back at Ta, the mysterious visitor was watching him work with intense interest. Throughout the evening, more customers arrived. The tavern wasn't full, but it was a good start. Jun was busy serving drinks and heating food. Sometimes he caught Ta watching him, studying how he moved, how he fixed a glass that a customer dropped, how he jury-rigged the food heater when it started to smoke. When the crowd thinned, Jun turned to speak with Ta again, but the strange visitor was gone. In Ta's place was a small, shining scale and payment for the drinks, much more than what was owed. June picked up the scale. It was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with inner light. "What are you?" June whispered, but there was no answer except the quiet hum of the tavern's machines. Days passed, and the rusted wrench grew busier. Word spread that the tavern was open again, and that the food was hot. The drinks were cold, and the owner could fix anything that broke. June began to learn the rhythms of running a tavern: busy times, quiet times, which customers tipped well, and which ones to watch carefully. Ta came back every night, always when the tavern was quietest. Sometimes early, before the rush. Sometimes late, after most customers had left. Ta always sat at the same spot at the bar, and ordered the same strong red drink. June kept the shining scale in his pocket. He didn't know why, but it felt important. Sometimes it grew warm, just before Ta would walk through the door. "You are adapting well to this new life," Ta said one quiet evening, watching June mix drinks with growing confidence. "Fixing things, serving people, it's not so different from my old job," June replied. "People need what they need. I just provide it." Ta smiled. "A simple view of a complex universe." "The universe is only as complex as we make it," Jun said, surprising himself with the thought. Ta's eyes flashed with interest. "Fascinating." On the 10th night after opening, something unusual happened. A group of rough-looking aliens entered the tavern. They wore matching black jackets with red symbols on the shoulders. Their skin was gray and leathery, and their eyes darted around the room nervously. June had never seen their species before, but he recognized trouble when he saw it. They looked like mercenaries or soldiers, the kind that used to cause problems on the space stations where he worked. They scanned the room until they spotted Ta sitting alone at the bar. Immediately, their posture changed. Their backs straightened. One of them, clearly the leader, approached Ta with his head slightly bowed. "Lord Tay," the leader said, his voice barely carrying to where June stood, "we did not expect to find you here." Ta didn't turn around. "Your expectations are not my concern, Captain Mock." "Of course, Lord." The captain glanced at June, then back to Ta. "The Council has been seeking your guidance on urgent matters." "The Council knows where to send proper messages," Ta said coldly. "Not soldiers." Captain Mock bowed deeper. "Forgive the intrusion. We will depart." And just like that, the group left without ordering a single drink. The few other customers in the tavern pretended they hadn't noticed anything strange. "Friends of yours?" June asked when they were gone. Ta sipped the red drink. "Not friends. Just people who work for people I know." "They called you Lord," June pointed out. "Some cultures use too many titles," Ta said with a dismissive wave. "I am just a trader of rare items." June didn't believe this, but he didn't push. Everyone had secrets. In the outer stations, asking too many questions was considered rude and sometimes dangerous. The next day, the station experienced power problems. The lights in the tavern flickered, and the air recyclers made strange noises. June climbed up to check the atmospheric regulator on the ceiling. It needed adjusting. While he was working, his hand slipped and hit a panel he hadn't noticed before. It slid open, revealing an old control box. Inside was a small screen connected to cameras, a security system his uncle had installed but never mentioned in his notes. Curious, June tapped the screen. It showed different views of the tavern and the hallway outside. He tapped again, and the view changed to the exterior of the station. He was about to turn it off when something caught his eye. A large shape moved past the camera. June tapped to replay the footage. There, moving gracefully through the emptiness of space without a ship or spacesuit, was a creature like nothing June had ever seen. It was massive, with a long, serpentine body covered in shimmering scales. It had powerful limbs ending in clawed hands and a head with horns that curved backward. As it turned, June saw its eyes, dark and deep, like looking into space itself. The same eyes as Ta. The creature, the dragon, flew around the station and then disappeared from view. A minute later, Another camera showed Tai entering the station through an airlock, straightening clothes that hadn't been wrinkled by any spacesuit. Jun sat back on his heels, the repair tool forgotten in his hand. "My customer is a dragon," he whispered to himself. "A real space dragon." The scale in his pocket suddenly felt very heavy. Jun couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about what he had seen. A dragon. A real dragon that could survive in space without protection. And this dragon was his regular customer. What does a dragon want with a small tavern? Jun asked his empty room. And what did my uncle have to do with it? The next morning, Jun decided to explore the tavern more carefully. His uncle must have had reasons for everything. The hidden cameras, the secret panels. What else was hidden? Jun started in the basement where he kept extra supplies. It was a simple storage area with metal shelves and boxes. But as he moved some old containers, he noticed that the wall behind them was a different color than the rest. He tapped it. The sound was hollow. Jun ran his hands over the surface and found a small indent. When he pressed it, a section of the wall slid open with a hiss. "Uncle Sung, what were you up to?" Jun whispered as he stared into a dark passage. He grabbed a light and stepped through. The passage was short and opened into a massive space, much larger than should have been possible given the size of the station section. It was a hidden hangar, and in the center was a spacecraft unlike any Jun had ever seen. It was beautiful. The ship was about half the size of a standard transport, but shaped like a teardrop. Its surface shimmered with the same material as the scale in Jun's pocket. Parts of it glowed with soft blue light, while other sections were dark and clearly unfinished. Jun walked around it slowly. His mechanic's eyes spotted the incomplete systems, the missing components, the connections waiting to be made. This was advanced technology, far beyond what humans had. But Jun understood the principles. Engines were engines, no matter how fancy. He was so absorbed in examining the ship that he didn't hear the basement door open or the footsteps behind him. "Do you like it?" Ta's voice made Jun jump. Jun turned to find Ta standing there, watching him with those deep eyes. "I didn't mean to snoop," Jun said quickly. Ta shook his head. "If you weren't meant to find it, you wouldn't have. Your uncle made sure of that." "What is this? Why is it here?" Jun asked, gesturing at the ship. Ta sighed, and for the first time, looked tired. "I suppose there's no point hiding the truth anymore. Yes, I am what you humans would call a dragon. My real name is Tyryong, ruler of the Dragon Dominion." Jun swallowed hard. Dragon Dominion. "We control 3 solar systems beyond this trading route. We've existed alongside other species for thousands of years, mostly keeping to ourselves. Few know our true form." Ta walked to the ship and placed a hand on its surface. The area around his touch glowed brighter. "Your uncle was a rare human. Brilliant, trustworthy, and discreet. He helped us build this vessel. It's not for travel. It's for peace." "Peace?" Jun asked, confused. "There is another empire, the Exirals. They've been our enemies for centuries. Both sides have weapons that could destroy entire planets." Ta's eyes darkened. "We've reached a dangerous point. Neither side dares attack first, but tensions grow daily." Jun looked at the ship with new understanding. "This is a weapon." "No," Ta said firmly. "The opposite. It's a shield generator. Your uncle called it the Peacemaker. It can create a field that neutralizes our most destructive weapons. If deployed correctly, it would make war pointless." "But it's not finished," Jun said, noting the incomplete sections. "No, your uncle died before completing it. The final systems need a different kind of thinking than my people possess." Ta looked directly at Jun. "Dragon minds are old and powerful, but we think in patterns established over millennia. We lack human adaptability, your ability to find unexpected solutions." Jun touched the ship's surface. It felt warm, alive. "You inherited more than a tavern," Jun Kim, Ta said quietly. You inherited a chance to prevent a war that could spread to human space too. I've been watching you, seeing if you had your uncle's skills. You do. You want me to finish this? June asked, stunned. I'm asking if you will try, Tay replied. The choice is yours. June looked at the beautiful, unfinished ship. He thought about his old life fixing everyday machines, and now this, a device that could save worlds. Show me the problems, June said. Tai led June around the ship, explaining the systems. June nodded as he listened, understanding more than Tai expected. 50 years of fixing complex spacecraft had taught June to grasp new technology quickly. This is the main problem, Ta said, pointing to an open panel on the ship's side. Inside was a tangle of glowing tubes and crystal components. The shield generator needs a control system that can adapt to different attack patterns. Our engineers built the power source and the shield projectors, but the control system stumped them. June leaned closer, studying the components. Your people think too perfectly, he said after a moment. Tai tilted his head. Explain. Dragon technology is beautiful. All these parts fit together exactly right. But sometimes you need things to be a little wrong to get the right result. June pointed to several connection points. You've created a system that works by exact rules, but weapons don't follow rules. They try to break them. June went to a workbench where his uncle had left tools and parts. He picked through them, selecting items seemingly at random. Some were standard tools. Others were odd pieces that looked like junk. What are you doing? Tai asked. Thinking like a human, June replied with a small smile. We're good at making things work with whatever we have on hand. For the next 3 hours, Tai watched as June worked. The old mechanic didn't follow any blueprint or design. He tried connections, removed them, tried others. Sometimes he muttered to himself. Sometimes he laughed when something sparked unexpectedly. This shouldn't work, Ta said at one point, watching June connect a kitchen timer to an advanced alien power coupling. But it will, June replied confidently. The timer creates a random delay. Random is what you need against weapons designed to break through patterns. By evening, June had created a strange-looking control system. It used parts from the station's recycling units, modified kitchen appliances, and even pieces of an old music player. None of it looked like it belonged with the sleek dragon technology, but when June activated it, the entire system hummed to life. The shield generator projected a small test field that shimmered in the air between them. Try to break it, June suggested. Tai extended a finger, which suddenly glowed with intense heat. He touched the shield. It bent inward but didn't break. When Tai increased the heat, the shield shifted its pattern, becoming stronger where the attack focused. Remarkable, Tai whispered. It's learning. Not exactly learning, June explained. It's randomizing. The system doesn't try to predict the attack. It just keeps changing until it finds something that works. Then it does more of that until the attack changes again. Tai stared at June with new respect. This is why we've watched humans with such interest. You think, sideways. Where we see impossibility, you see unusual possibility. June shrugged. When you don't have fancy parts, you learn to use whatever's available. I once kept a space station's life support running with parts from a food processor and tape. Your uncle said something similar once, Ta said softly. He told me humans evolved solving problems with limited resources, while dragons evolved with abundance. Our weaknesses and strengths come from our beginnings. June nodded. The system works for now, but it needs more testing. And there are other problems to fix, aren't there? Many, Tai admitted. The power distribution, the range amplifiers, the deployment mechanism, all need that human touch. But you've solved the hardest part. You've created a system that can adapt. I'll need help, June said, thinking about the tavern. I can't work on this and run the bar alone. I can arrange discreet assistance, Tai offered. No, June said firmly. If I'm going to help, I need to do it my way. I need someone I can trust, not secret dragon agents. Let me hire help for the tavern. Normal help who won't know about this place." Ta considered this, then nodded. "Your uncle was stubborn too. It seems to be a family trait." June smiled. "We Kims don't like being told how to fix things." As they walked back to the tavern level, June asked the question that had been bothering him. "Why did you really give this tavern to me? You could have found another engineer." "Your uncle made me promise," Ta said simply. "He said if anything happened to him, his nephew would finish what he started. He said you were the best mechanic he'd ever known." June stopped walking. "He said that. He never even contacted me. He watched your career from afar," Ta explained. "He was very proud of you." June felt a lump in his throat. After all these years, his uncle had remembered him, had valued his skills enough to trust him with something this important. "I'll need to find good bar help tomorrow," June said, his voice slightly rough. "I've got work to do." June found help for the tavern the next day. A young woman named Nari Park had just arrived at the station looking for work. She had short black hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. June liked her straightforward manner. "I don't know much about serving drinks," Nari admitted during their talk, "but I learned fast." "Can you follow instructions and keep your eyes open?" June asked. "Yes to both," she replied. "Then you're hired," June said. He showed her the basics of running the bar, while he spent more and more time fixing things in the basement. Over the next weeks, June worked on the ship every day. The tavern became busier, and Neri handled it well. She was smart and noticed patterns, which customers came together, which ones never spoke to each other, which ones washed rather than drank. One evening, she stopped June as he headed to the basement. "Something strange is happening," Neri said quietly. "Have you noticed the new customers?" June had been so focused on the ship that he hadn't paid much attention. "What about them?" "They all know each other," Neri said. "They pretend not to, but they do. They use the same hand signals when they think no one is watching. And they all speak to that top person when he comes in, just for a moment, like they're checking in." June frowned. Despite his agreement with Ta, it seemed the dragon ruler had stationed agents in the tavern anyway. "Also," Nari continued, "there are others watching them. See that blue-skinned trader in the corner? He's been here 4 nights in a row, and he never drinks his drinks. He just watches." June looked at the alien Nari mentioned. The trader quickly looked away. "Thank you for telling me," June said. "Keep serving. Act normal. I'll handle this." When June went to the basement that night, he told Tai about Nari's observations. "Your helper is perceptive," Ta said. "Yes, I have placed some of my people here. For protection. And yes, we are being watched. The Xerils have spies everywhere. You promised me no agents," June reminded him. "The situation has changed," Ta said. "Our intelligence suggests that Xerils know something important is happening here. They don't know what exactly, but they are suspicious." June sighed and returned to his work on the ship. The main systems were nearly complete. The shield generator now worked at small scale. The next step was to make it powerful enough to cover large areas of space. Later that night, after closing time, June was cleaning up when the lights suddenly went out. The emergency lights came on, casting red shadows across the tavern. "Station malfunction," Nari asked from behind the bar. Before June could answer, the door exploded inward. 5 figures rushed in, wearing black body armor with glowing red lines. They carried weapons June had never seen before. "Xeril commandos," Nari whispered, ducking behind the bar. June didn't ask how she knew that. He grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the kitchen. "This way." The commandos fired. Energy blasts hit the wall where they had been standing seconds before. In the kitchen, June quickly opened a hidden panel next to the food heater, another of his uncle's secrets. Inside were several weapons. "Can you shoot?" he asked Nari. "Better than I can mix drinks," she replied, taking the small pistol. June looked around the kitchen, his mind racing. He couldn't outshoot professional soldiers. But maybe. "Help me with this," he said, grabbing the food processor. While the commandos searched the tavern, June quickly took apart the kitchen machines. He connected the food processor to the drink mixer's power unit. He added parts from the cleaning robot and the waste disposal. "What are you making?" Nari asked, keeping her gun pointed at the door. "A surprise," June said with a small smile. When the first commando pushed open the kitchen door, June activated his creation. The device let out a high-pitched whine, then shot out a wave of sonic energy. The commando's weapons and armor suddenly sparked and shut down. The commando stood frozen, unable to move or speak. "Their tech is linked to their bodies," June explained as they ran past the stunned soldier. "I just created feedback in their systems." In the main room, the other commandos were experiencing the same problem. Their advanced technology was failing, leaving them confused and vulnerable. June and Neri made it to the basement door. As they slipped through, June caught sight of Tai emerging from a back room, eyes glowing with anger. "I think your dragon friend can handle the rest," Neri said as they ran down the stairs. June stopped and stared at her. "You know." Neri smiled. "I told you I notice patterns. Now let's go check on that ship you've been working on. I think we might need it sooner than expected." When June and Neri reached the hidden hangar, they found Tai already there. The dragon ruler had moved faster than seemed possible, reaching the secret area before them through some unknown path. "You are unhurt?" Tai asked, looking them over quickly. "We're fine," June said. "My kitchen surprise worked." Tai's lips curved in a small smile. "Indeed, the Exeral commandos are now in custody. Their technology failed them completely." "What happens now?" June asked. "They know about the tavern. They'll send more." "Yes," Tai agreed. "The attack changes everything. We no longer have the luxury of time." Nari walked slowly around the ship, studying it with knowing eyes. "This is it. The shield generator. It's smaller than I expected." June looked at her with new suspicion. "How do you know what it is?" "Because," Tai answered for her, "Nari Park is not who she appears to be." Nari sighed. "I was going to tell you, June. Eventually." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal badge. It glowed with an official-looking symbol. "I work for the Galactic Unity Council. We've been monitoring the situation between the dragons and Cyrils for years." June felt betrayed. "You were spying on me." "Protecting you," Nari corrected. "The council knew your uncle was working on something important. When he died, they sent me to make sure his work wasn't lost or stolen." "The council has no authority in dragon space," Ta said coldly. "No, but we have authority where this station sits, in neutral territory," Nari replied. "And we have a vested interest in preventing a war that could spread beyond your two empires." June looked between them. "So everyone has been lying to me." "Not about what matters," Ta said. "The shield generator is real. The threat is real. And now, I must tell you the complete truth, because we've run out of time." Ta gestured for them to sit. June noticed that the dragon ruler looked tired, something he hadn't seen before. "The dragons and Cyrils have been enemies for over 3,000 years, Ta began. "Both sides have weapons that can destroy worlds in seconds. For centuries, we've existed in balance, neither daring to strike first, knowing the other would retaliate. Mutual destruction." Nari nodded. "The council is familiar with the concept." "Yes, but in recent years, the Exeral Emperor has grown more aggressive. Their scientists have been working on weapons that might give them a first-strike advantage." Ta's eyes darkened. "If they succeed, they will attack without hesitation. Billions will die." "And the shield generator would stop that?" June asked. "It would make those weapons useless," Ta confirmed. "It would protect both dragon and Cyril worlds, preventing either side from gaining an advantage. It would force us back to diplomacy." "But the Exerals don't want that." Nari added. They want victory, not peace. June stood and walked to the ship. He ran his hand over its surface. So this isn't just about saving dragon worlds. It's about saving everyone, including the Cyrils themselves. Yes, Ta said. Your uncle understood this. He believed that sometimes you must save people from themselves. Why did you really choose me? June asked. The truth. Tai stood and joined him by the ship. Dragons are old, June. Some of us have lived for thousands of years. We grow set in our ways. We struggle to imagine new solutions. The dragon placed a hand on June's shoulder. But humans, your lives are short and bright. You see possibilities we cannot. Your uncle saw a path to peace that no dragon imagined. And you have his same vision. The council has suspected this about dragons for centuries, Nari added. It's why we've encouraged human-dragon cooperation despite the risks. Tai turned to face June directly. But now I must offer you a choice. The Cyrils know something important is happening here. They will return with greater forces. If you stay and help complete this project, you become their enemy too. What's the alternative? June asked. You leave, Ta said simply. Take payment for your work so far. Enough to live comfortably anywhere in human space. Nari and the council would ensure your safety. The dragons would find another way somehow. June looked around the hangar, at the ship he'd worked on, at the tavern above where he'd found a new purpose. He thought about his uncle, working alone on a project that might save billions. And if I stay? He asked quietly. You risk everything, Tai answered honestly. But you might save more lives than any human in history. June closed his eyes, thinking. When he opened them again, his decision was made. I'll stay, June said firmly. But I have conditions. Tai tilted his head. Name them. If I'm going to risk my life, I want more than just safety for the dragons. I want humans recognized as full partners in this, not just useful tools. June's voice grew stronger. When this is over, the Dragon Dominion will open formal relations with human worlds. Fair trade, knowledge exchange, real alliance. Tai studied the old mechanic with new respect. You bargain well for a tavern owner. I'm not just a tavern owner, June replied. I'm the man who might save your worlds. That's worth something. After a moment, Ta nodded. Agreed. The Dragon Council won't like it, but they will accept my decision. Nari smiled. The Galactic Unity Council will be pleased. They've sought official dragon relations for centuries. Then let's finish this, Jun said, turning to the ship. I think we have about 3 more days of work. They didn't get 3 days. They got 1. The next evening, alarms rang throughout the station. The tavern's communication system crackled to life with an emergency message. Attention all residents. Unidentified vessels approaching. This is not a drill. Security forces to alert status. June, Nari, and Ta worked through the night. June's hands moved with steady purpose, connecting systems, adjusting power flows. Nari proved to be more than a spy. She had technical knowledge that complemented June's practical skills. Ta provided the dragon perspective, explaining how the systems were meant to function. By morning, the shield generator was nearly complete. We need to test it, Jun said, wiping sweat from his forehead. No time, Tai replied. That Exeral fleet will reach us within hours. We must deploy it now and hope it works. Jun shook his head. That's not how I fix things. If we deploy a broken shield, everyone dies. Give me 1 hour. While Ta paced nervously, Jun and Neri ran final checks. They found 3 problems and fixed them all. The last fix was Jun's special touch. He used a mixing spoon from the tavern's kitchen to adjust a crucial power coupling that was slightly out of alignment. Ready, Jun announced as warning sirens blared again. Tai transformed partially, his hands becoming clawed and scaled. He placed them on special control panels built for Dragon Touch. The deployment ships are in position throughout the sector. When we activate this, the shield pattern will transmit to all of them. Jun placed his human hands on the panels built for his touch. Together, they activated the system. The ship hummed to life. Energy flowed through the circuits Jun had painstakingly connected. The shield generator launched its signal to the stars. "Now we wait," Ta said quietly. They returned to the tavern level to find it had become a command center. Dragon agents had set up equipment to monitor the approaching Cyril fleet. Neri's Galactic Unity colleagues had arrived as well, bringing their own systems. On the main screen, they watched as the Exeral warships entered the shield zone. The lead ships charged their planet killer weapons, massive cannons that could crack a world in half. They fired. Nothing happened. The weapons drew power but couldn't release it. The shield had worked. "Look," Neri pointed to another screen. "Communication signals. That Exerals are asking to talk." Ta smiled, a real smile that showed a hint of dragon teeth. "When you can't fight, you must negotiate. The shield has done exactly what we hoped." In the days that followed, the Rusted Wrench became famous throughout the sector. It was the place where dragons and humans had worked together to prevent a war. Diplomats from both the Dragon Dominion and the Exeral Empire came to the tavern to begin peace talks, with the Galactic Unity Council mediating. Jun continued to serve drinks and fix things. He installed a new sign outside, one that showed a dragon's tail wrapped around a wrench. Under it, he added the words, "All species welcome." 3 months later, Jun signed the official Dragon-Human Alliance Treaty on behalf of Earth. The document recognized humans as valued partners, not just clever pets. It opened new trade routes and promised exchange of knowledge that would benefit both species. "Not bad for a retired mechanic," Neri said as they watched ships from a dozen worlds dock at the now bustling station. "I just fixed what needed fixing," Jun replied with a modest shrug. But inside, he felt proud. His uncle would have approved. That night, after closing, Ta visited one last time before departing for Dragon Space. "Your uncle once told me that sometimes the universe puts the right person in the right place at exactly the right time," Ta said. He was right. Jun smiled. Sometimes all you need is someone who knows how to use the tools they have, even if it's just a mixing spoon and some tape.